I'm going to tell you about the first, last, worst framework for telling your asylum story. And this is going to help you in writing your personal statement that you're going to submit with your asylum application. And it can also be helpful at your interview for expressing yourself and talking about what's happened to you. If we're just now meeting, I'm Brian Manning and I'm a political asylum lawyer. I help people all over the country secure their future in the United States through asylum. And by the way, I just created a new Facebook group called Asylum Seekers United. Come over and join us on Facebook, Asylum Seekers United. We're helping each other and encouraging each other in there, and I'm answering questions, and I'm going to be doing some trainings in there as well. Okay, so the first, last, worst framework, what is that? So a lot of people, sadly, have suffered a lot of bad things in their life. Like they've been harmed a lot of times, or they've been threatened a lot of times. And the thing is, you're not going to be able to talk in detail about all of those things in your application materials or at your asylum interview. Your application materials, including your personal statement, should be short, should be concise. If you've suffered through a lot of bad things in your life and you want the asylum officer to know about that, and so you might be tempted to write in detail and explain each one of those things, well, that's going to make for a really long personal statement. And that's not good for your case, okay? The asylum officer is just too busy to handle that. And the same thing at your interview. If you try to talk in detail about everything that's happened to you, it's just not going to go over well. The asylum officer is going to get frustrated. They're going to be cutting you off. It's just not in your interest to try to do that, okay? So what you can do is focus on the first thing that happened to you, the last thing that happened to you, and the worst thing that happened to you. And let me tell you, this is actually something that the asylum officers do very often. At your interview, they may explicitly say to you, I want to hear about the first time they hurt you or threatened you. I want to hear about the last time or the most recent, and I want to hear about the worst time. So why do they want to know about those three things, first, last, and worst? Well, they want to know the first thing because they want to know when your problem started to help provide context about what's going on. And they want to hear about the last thing, the last time that you were harmed or maybe threatened. They want to know about the last time because they want to know how recent it was. That might tell them something about whether the people that are doing these things to you, in fact, are still likely to want to hurt you in the future. Because if the last time that you were harmed was like 10 years ago and you still had contact with the bad guys after that and they didn't hurt you again, well, that could suggest that they don't really want to do anything bad to you anymore, okay? And they want to know about the worst time because this goes to the issue of persecution or harm. Under the asylum laws, you've got to show that the things that happened to you, the harm that you suffered, or the harm that you're likely to suffer in the future is really bad, okay? To be considered persecution under the law, it has to be really serious harm. So that's why the officer wants to know about the worst thing that happened to you. They want to hear in detail about that because that's going to help them decide, okay, has what this person, the applicant, you've been through, is it bad enough to count as persecution? In other words, does the harm rise to the level of persecution? That's not to say that the other things that happen to you are not important and aren't meaningful, but for purposes of your asylum case, it really is best to just focus on some of the key things that the officer needs to know. And I'm telling you, as a former asylum officer, this is a way that officers often like to approach their understanding of a person's case. And the way that they're going to seek to understand whether you qualify for asylum is by looking at the first, last, and worst time that you were harmed or threatened. Let me say a bit more about this worst time. So by that I mean, basically, if you were harmed on multiple occasions, you would want to talk for sure about the time that they did the worst things to you, that they really got you good and they hurt you bad. Or if it's just threats that we're talking about, well, the worst threat would be the one that was the most imminent, where the harm seemed like they were really going to hurt you and it was really bad. So, for example, if you received several threatening phone calls with people saying, we're going to come for you and we're going to get you, but then at some point you were approached and someone put a gun to your head and said, we're going to kill you. And then maybe later you got some more calls. Well, the last call that you got wouldn't necessarily be the worst one. Neither would the first ones. Rather, the worst threat would be the one where they put a gun to your head because they made you believe quite reasonably that they were about to kill you right then and there. And that can be really traumatic. So it maybe isn't physical harm, but it's the kind of harm that can count as persecution, okay? So how do you use this? Well, in your personal statement that you're writing, I encourage you to talk about the first, last, and worst time that they hurt you. You don't have to necessarily go in that order. I prefer to go chronological, but try to put some emphasis on those things and talk in a little bit of detail, at least a couple or few paragraphs about each of those things, okay? And at your asylum interview, you should be ready for the officer to say something like, tell me about the first, last, and worst times that you were threatened or harmed. And be ready to respond to that, because there's actually a good chance they'll do that. A lot of officers do that, okay? So I hope this first, last, and worst framework for thinking about how to express yourself, how to tell your story, is helpful for you. And let me know down in the comments what questions you have. Send me a direct message on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. On Instagram and Facebook, I'm at Manning Asylum Law, and my YouTube channel is Manning Asylum Law as well. So I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what questions you have. And join us in the Facebook group, Asylum Seekers United. You can get there through my business Facebook page at Manning Asylum Law, or you can just search for Asylum Seekers United on Facebook and find the group and join. We'd love to have you in there. Thanks, and it's an honor to support you in your asylum journey.